Hi, good afternoon. I think it's Sunday, and I think it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. So I want to welcome you. Today we're going to be doing a vinyasa to restorative / yin / stretch yoga at the end. So half and half. I think that for me personally, this has been, hi Michelle, a crazy couple of weeks. I am working out a lot, differently than I normally work out, and I suspect a lot of us are doing that, either working out a lot or not at all. Some of us are walking, running outdoors. That's great. Some of us are doing probably higher intensity workouts than we normally do, so keep in mind that this yoga practice is a combination of both work and very restorative. And I encourage you to add the restorative part into your practices, whether you practice any kind of regular yoga or not. It's very beneficial to you. And I think the only two words that we have to really worry about today are, on my shirt, inhale and exhale. So let's come to the mat into a child's pose. If you have blocks, by the way, or books that you can use to prop up on, a bolster pillow or towel will be helpful. I don't have my straps at home, so I found an old belt, courtesy generation, thank you, belt / scarf, I guess, that I'm going to use. So you can grab a belt, a towel. If you have any kind of straps that you use in fitness, feel free to use them. They'll be a little different, but it'll be fine. So come on to a child's pose. Sit back on your heels, open your knees as wide as the mat, and allow your body to surrender into the mat. Just let go. And you can have your hands underneath your forehead, in between your legs, and turn one side of your head to the one side, or bring your arms by your side, or outstretch them, and feel free to make them easy or more active at this point. So we start with the breath, and remember, it's just inhale and exhale. That's all it is. There's nothing fancy to yoga but breathing. You make it what you make out of it. So allow your shoulders, I'm going to have my head up so you can hear me, but I want your head down on the mat. So allow your hips to sit back towards your heels. Allow your belly to soften in between your thighs. Relax the neck and shoulders down away from your ears. And breathe. Start to direct the breath into the spaces from hip to hip, from side to side in your rib cage, and from shoulder to shoulder, relaxing the neck and shoulders away from each other. So there's a complete release of tension, especially in that cervical spine. Start to lengthen the breath. Deepen it if it feels good. Pause it and retain it if it's okay for you. Empty it out when you need to. So the breath is the one constant that we have in our yoga practice, while the physical actions are going to move shortly. We'll be moving a little bit more. The breath is the constant. It is the ebb and flow of the breath that we move with in a vinyasa practice. This will be a slow vinyasa practice, not a crazy, frenetic practice. It's Sunday afternoon. I think we've all been through so much so far that let's take it a little bit easier today. If your arms are not outstretched, bring them out. Bring your chest in between your thighs. Spread your fingers broad. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. And even start to move your hips from side to side a little bit, just starting to feel a little bit of that release in your spine, and push through one arm and then the other. And just stay there. When you're ready, in the center. One more breath. As you inhale, rise up onto your fingertips. I need to mention that the music is by Fit Radio, so licensed music all ready to play. Left hand on top of right as you move over to your right side. Let your belly soften. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Really get into that left side of your body here, breathing in and breathing out. Listen to your breath. We use Ujjayi breath in this section of our workout, or of our yoga practice, I should say. And then inhale, rise back up. And when we get into our yin practice, we may leave it behind. And I know that you are all comfortable with using that Ujjayi breath there too, so feel free. As long as you're breathing, I'm happy. And so will you be. So breathe into the right side of the body, empty the breath, let go. And then come back to center, inhale one more time. Again, spread your fingers, pull your shoulders away from your ears. Now push the heel of your hands forward and push your hips towards your heels. And then rise up onto your hands and knees, drawing your hands closer towards your knees. Knees under hips, hands under shoulders. Tuck your toes, arch your back, and dip your belly. Bring your collarbones forward. And then exhale, round and curl your spine. Push the floor away, chin to chest, head hangs down. Still space between your ears and shoulders. Inhale, dip your belly, arch your back, tuck your toes, broaden your collarbones. Let's just take a moment here and wag a little side to side. Just start to feel a little bit more movement. So we're going to work our spine, or we're going to move our spine in the directions that it's meant to, all 6 of them, not just what we're doing right now, which is flexion and extension. So one more time, come back to center, chin to chest, round and curl your spine. Push your hips, your hands into the floor and round your spine. Tuck that tailbone underneath you. Inhale, arch your back, tuck your toes, and sit back on your toes in that child's pose with just that toe tuck underneath variation. And then maybe you don't get your chest all the way to the floor this time, maybe you do. So if you have to modify, maybe you bend the elbows, and put your head on your hands. See where it takes you. Listen to your body. The one good thing about your yoga practice is that you get really intimate with your body. You know where you can go, how far you can push it, and when you need to back off. Rise back up onto your hands and knees, release the toes, tap them out, and start to make some circles in your body. Start off small, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, wrists, forearms, elbows, fingers, toes, all those joints. And then this is where we sometimes hear some snap, crackle, pop. So embrace it. If you feel pain, you back off. And then let's move to the other side. So maybe we start off a little smaller and just take those little circles. And then when you feel ready, start to make them a little bit bigger. So we can consider this part of our practice the warm-up for the next part of our practice, right? So we're just juicing up everything here. Come back to center. And then tuck your toes underneath you. Lift your hips up. Find a downward dog and stretch the heels towards the floor. We're not hanging here too long. Rebend the knees, come back to the floor, sit back on your heels, and relax. Inhale to all fours, toes tuck. Lift up your knees, downward facing dog. If you're not going to dog, stay on your knees. Come back to your knees, release your hips to your heels. Remember, if you have to modify, modify. Inhale to all fours, tuck the toes, downward dog, stay here. Bend your right knee, press your left heel. Press into both arms evenly so there's no tension in the neck. Switch sides. Keep the energy moving back towards your heels. Rise back up on both toes. Keep your knees lifted. Pull your pelvic muscles in. Chin towards the collarbones so the lengthen the cervical spine again. This time we're going to come forward to a high plank. You might have to adjust your feet just for the moment. Push away from the floor as we did in our kneeling poses. Lower your knees down, child's pose, release. So already we're starting a little vinyasa sequence because we're moving with our breath. So inhale to your knees, exhale, downward dog. Inhale to high plank, exhale to your knees, child's pose. Do that again. Inhale to your knees, tuck toes, exhale, downward dog. Inhale, high plank, exhale, child's pose. One more time. Inhale to your knees, tuck your toes, hips up, and exhale. One more time to high plank and stay in your high plank. Draw your shoulder blades away from your ears, pull your belly up and in. Maybe there's a little rounding in the upper back, pressing against the floor again. And then lower just the left knee to the floor, step your right foot in between your two hands. Adjust it so that the right knee is over the ankle, and you're not lifting your heel up, so you're either right on top of the ankle or slightly in front. And then climb up to your fingertips. If you have blocks, feel free to use your blocks, and just maybe even hover your fingers off the floor. And as you do so, we're just pushing that left hip forward. There's compression in the right hip. Lift your chest and shoulders up, and then let's just draw the arms up overhead.
Drop the shoulders down, lift your heart up. Take your ribs towards your hips, so we don't want to see those bottom ribs pooching out, because that's probably going to make us dump too much into our lower back. Lift that heart up. We'll revisit this later. One more breath. Exhale, hands to floor. Tuck your left toes underneath you. Find that downward facing dog, hips up in the air. And walk your dog from side to side. Shift the weight a little bit right, a little bit left. Come back to your high plank. Stay there. Hold the pose, not the breath. Lower your right knee to the floor. Step your left foot in between your hands. Help it out if you need to. There's no hard and fast rule here. Come to your fingertips. Press the top of your right foot and shin to the floor. Lift your chest up and maybe just hover your fingers off the floor. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Stay there or raise the arms up over your head. Open up your heart. So keep pressing now, that right hip forward, left knee forward. Pressing into the top of the right foot and shin for a little stability. You'll also start to feel that. And again, taking care that those ribs aren't pooching out. That we're drawing the rib cage down and under towards the hips. One more breath. As you exhale, release your hands to the floor. Tuck the right toes underneath you. Downward facing dog, hips up in the air. Walk your dog from side to side. Come back up onto your toes and come to your high plank pose. Shoulders over wrists. Knees are lifted up. Belly is lifted up. Pelvic floor is lifted up. Your eye gaze goes forward. Now let's lower ourselves all the way to our bellies. You can go to your knees first and release your tops of your feet. So crown of the head reaches forward. Elbows hugged by your side. Hands are right by your rib cage. The arms are kind of right where the fingers are right by that bra line for the ladies. First ribs, elbows squeezed in by your side. Point your toes back, crown of the head forward. Inhale, just lift a little higher, but lift your hands so that your back does the work, not your hands. And then empty the breath and come down to the floor. Soften your glutes, release. Inhale, back up. Lift your arms, cobra pose, bhujangasana, shoulders back and down. Reach in two directions. And then empty the breath, come on back down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your arms, pull your shoulders back away from you. Exhale to the floor, sit on your heels, child's pose. Inhale to all fours, downward facing dog. Come high up on your tippy toes. Soften your knees and look towards your hands. And take little steps to walk your feet all the way up to the top of your mat. However you get there. I have very tight hamstrings, so I have to bend my knees. And then I want you to separate your feet with two fists in between your feet. And fold over. Let your head reach down towards the floor. And create space between your ears and your shoulders. So even though we're upside down and everything wants to kind of fold that way, draw your shoulders back and down. And then rise up onto your shins, or if you need blocks, lengthen your spine. Exhale, forward fold over your legs one more time, ragdolling the body. Chin to your chest, press down through your feet, and roll up slowly, one vertebrae at a time. And as you get up to standing, roll your shoulders back and around a couple times. Bring your feet together. Bring your arms by your side. Palms open up. Shoulders back down. Close your eyes. I want you to feel this rather than look at it. So drop your shoulders back and down towards the tailbone. Tuck your tailbone underneath you. Lift your kneecaps up. Press all four corners of your feet to the floor. Broaden your collarbones. Lift the crown of the head towards the sky. Lift the chin off the collarbones. Breathe. Spread your fingers. Spread your toes like your fingers. Lift them up and then place them back down onto the floor. If being too close together makes you imbalanced, separate your feet. It's that easy. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Interlace your fingers together. Turn your palms inside out. Drop your shoulders down. Reach out of your waistline. Again, you don't want to have that pooching out of the rib cage. So lift up. Find the length in that side body and then lean up and over to your right side. And maybe your eye gaze goes up to your left elbow crease, shoulders down. Breathe in, breathe out. Find a little side bend here. Inhale back to center. Take it over to the other side as you exhale. You'll also notice maybe one side is more behaved than the other. Maybe you're looking up at your right elbow crease. Lift up like there's a ball underneath you, and you're just going to kind of lay on top of the ball. And then rise back up on the inhale. Take your hands behind your head. Let your head rest in your arms. Lift your chest up. Go as far as it feels good to you. Open up the front of your chest and shoulders. If you're like me and did a class that had a lot of push-ups and chest presses today, or flies, this feels pretty good. And then bring your elbows by your ears, chin to your chest. Round your spine, come all the way down to the floor. Hands on either side of your feet, lengthen your spine, fingers on the floor, shins, or on your blocks or books, whatever you're using. Empty the breath, forward fold, hang your head. Inhale, halfway lift. Step your right foot back, lower your right knee to the floor. Reach the arms all the way up overhead. You can tuck the right toes under, or you can press the top of the foot and shin down. And then draw the ribs towards the hips. Lift your heart up. And then bring that prayer to your heart center. Keep the length in your spine. And then turn to your left side. Lean a little forward, keeping that length. Right arm hooks outside of left thigh. Thumb to your heart. Keep pressing forward on that right side. Make sure you're not sitting on top of your patella, your kneecap. All right, you want to make sure we don't need any more pressure in our knees than we already have. So I'd like you not to dump onto your thigh here. I'd like you to stay lifted. Please breathe in. Remember, the two words we need today is inhale and exhale. Empty out. Come back to center. Bring the arms all the way up overhead. Empty the breath and let the arms release down. Now we're just going to do a short little hamstring stretch on the left side. Not coincidentally my B side for that, but if you have tight hamstrings, blocks or something underneath your hands will help, or bend your knee, right? So we can always modify or intensify as needed. One more breath. Rise back to your lunge. Tuck your right toes underneath you. Find that downward facing dog. Oops. Hips up in the air. Walk your dog from side to side. So try not to do what I did and drag your foot across the mat, right? Try to stay lifted. Inhale on your high toes. Shift forward to a high plank. Lower to your knees or go halfway down. Roll over your toes, or you're on your belly, upward dog. Downward dog, that's called vinyasa. So there's vinyasa, like we're sequencing vinyasa, breath and movement together. And then there's vinyasa, the style of yoga that we practice. Come back onto your toes. Take your right foot in the air, lift it up. Look between your hands and bring it all the way through. Lower your left knee to the floor. Release the arms up overhead. Push that left hip forward. So remember, that knee is over the ankle on the right side. So the heel is lifting off the floor. Just shoot your foot forward. Breathe in, breathe out. Opening up where you need to be. Pushing into that left top of the foot and shin for some stability, plus nice little release in that left hip. Bring your hands to your heart center as you exhale. Find the length in the spine. Keep the length in the spine. Then rotate. Bring the left elbow outside the thigh. Thumb to the heart or sternum. Look over your right elbow. See if you can find a little more space. Don't dump into your belly or into your thigh with your belly. Keep breathing. One more breath. Inhale, return to center, arms come up. Exhale, hands on the floor or blocks. Straighten your right leg and fold. So listen to your body here. It's going to tell you if you're tight, it's going to kind of want to sneak off to the right pinky toe and lift up. See if you can hold it there, but maybe bend the knee. Maybe put your hands on blocks. So work into that space unless it's creating pain. Not discomfort, pain. It's a whole different ball game. Relax the shoulders and fold over your leg. And then come back to your low lunge. Tuck your left toes underneath you. Lift the left knee up and let's just spin over to the left side, taking a wide stance. So it's nice to have a block or something here in between your two sides if you need it, if you're like me and you're pretty tight. Your feet should try to be in the same line, so you might have to adjust a little bit. Raise up to your fingertips. You're gonna bring your hands to your hips and then rise up to standing. Bring your hands on your back and place them in either direction, up or down, and squeeze the elbows closer together. Lift your heart up. So this is also a good place if you need a towel or anything to help you open up the front of your chest by bringing it behind you. One more breath. Now lead with your heart and come halfway down only, softening the knees a little bit or shifting the weight into the balls of the feet a little bit. And then reach the arms to the floor or your block and fold your body in half. So for some of you, you're going to get your head down to the floor really easily. So maybe shorten your stance and challenge yourself a little bit more. For others more like me, you might need to widen your stance a little bit, not too much, right? You don't want to be in a complete split. Take another breath, inhale. And empty the breath, fold, exhale. Climb up onto your fingertips. Good. Take your hands back to your hips. Flat back once again. Rise up to standing. Good. Turn your right toes to the right. Keep your left toes facing forward. Arms up shoulder height. Pull your left hip back a little bit, so stack your shoulders over your hips. Reach your arms in two directions. You might have to shorten your stance, so you might have to bring that back foot in just a little bit more. And move your hips to your left side. Move your torso to the right side. Reach your arms out, out, out. When you can no longer reach out of your torso, bring that right hand on the floor, shin block, or wherever you need to be. Anything but your knees. So if you're really tight, you're feeling something going on in here today, which I do a lot, maybe bring your hand on top of your thigh. Check out that right knee. Make sure you're not hyperextended. So lift the kneecap up rather than back. And then lift all the way up. Maybe your eye gaze goes to your left hand. Imagine that your left side, and for some of you at home it might be, against a wall. I know Michelle Pines is probably against a wall somewhere doing this pose. One more breath. Look down at your right toes. Inhale, rise up, release the left arm down, the right arm up, and move that left hip towards the right hip. Inhale, back to standing. Turn both toes forward so you have both feet facing in the same direction. If you shortened your stance, go ahead and move that foot back out one more time. Bring the arms behind your back, interlace your fingers, knuckles down. Again, you might need a strap, a towel, or your shirt even. Lift your chest up, pull your chest open. And then lead with your heart and forward fold over and in between your two legs. So again, those of you who are really flexy will get your head down towards the floor way easier than mine will. So maybe my knees are bent. Maybe I widen my stance a little bit. And take 2 more breaths here. Again, looking for the length between the ears and the shoulders. Take a few breaths. And then using the arms to draw you back up, lead with your heart to come up. Tilt back a little bit if it's okay. Release the arms overhead, inhale. And take the arms out shoulder height once again. This time we're going to turn our left toes to the left. And notice that that right hip just kind of wants to jut out. So I'm going to start myself in alignment, right? Shoulders over hips, left toes out, arms out. Maybe I have to shorten that back leg. Flip your palms. Move to your left and move your hips to the right and find all that length in your torso, and then take the left arm down to the foot, shin block, or maybe on top of your thigh. And imagine now that your right side of your body is against a wall. Triangle pose. In this pose alone, we find several triangles in our own body shape. Breathe in, breathe out. Reach up and reach down at the same time, lifting the bottom side of our torso up, so you want to stay really elongated there. One more breath, everybody. Look down. Right arm comes down, left arm comes up. I'm going to move my right hip a little bit more towards my left side. And then spin my heart open. Inhale, back to standing. Turn your left toes, 1/4 turn to the right. And bring your hands to prayer. Fold over, flat back. Forward fold in between your two sides. Hang your head down. Lengthen, halfway lift. Empty out, forward fold. One more time, halfway lift. If you have a block or a book or a pillow or blankets in front of you, put your left hand on it if you need to, otherwise keep it on the floor. Bring your right hand to your sacrum and lengthen your spine. Stay there for 1 breath. Then rotate towards your right side, stacking shoulders. Try not to move that hip out to the right side. Mine tends to do that too. And then the right arm's gonna come up. Maybe you look up at it, but if that's too much for your neck, look down at your left hand. And try not to dump into that left shoulder, so keep the space there. I love twisting. Anybody who knows me knows I love twisting and rotational things. In my fitness, breathe in, and then empty out, switch sides. Right hand on the floor or block or whatever you're using for your tools. Left hand on your sacrum, lengthen your spine. Make sure your knees are not popping backwards, right, hyperextending. Let's just lift them, engage your quadricep muscles here. Shifting a little bit forward into the toes so we don't put pressure on the knees. Lengthen your spine, rotate to the left side, stack shoulders, and maybe that left arm comes up and rotates. So again, my hip, that left hip kind of wants to just jut out. I'm gonna try to stay more centered, but I may not get as deep a twist as I would like without rotating. So you have to let your body guide you and tell you where you want it to be or where it wants you to be. And then let's fold back to center, both hands on the floor or block. Lengthen your spine halfway. Hands to your heart or hips, come all the way up to standing. We're gonna turn right foot forward. We're gonna turn left foot forward. Bring the left knee to the floor. Release the top of the foot and bring your hands on the inside of your right foot. So you can just release the knee. If you need a little bit of towel underneath the knee for pressure, feel free. Hang in here and stay for a few breaths. So right here, we're going to change a little bit and we're gonna come into a little bit more longer hold of our postures. So I'm gonna kind of time it a little bit. So options here are to stay exactly as you are. Option to come down to your forearms or on a block or bolster or pillow or anything else. Now, in this practice, and keep going wherever you are, in this practice, it's more about being than doing. So we were just doing. We were moving, we were holding poses, we were letting our bodies kind of really get into it. And here, the longer we stay in the pose, the more we can access deeper actions, right? We're getting beyond muscles and joints into some connective tissues. Again, it's not for everybody. It's a challenging practice. If you're like me, I think I've been told I'm a type A personality. Sitting still for long periods of time is really hard for me. Hence, 2 weeks of quarantine is making me a little bit crazier. So we're just gonna stay here for a few more breaths as we start getting into this deeper hold. The breath is long and sweet, and if it's ujjayi, so be it. If it's just breathing in and out, so be it. Just try not to hyperventilate and slow down the breath, slow down the action. Close your eyes if it feels good, if you feel comfortable and safe in that pose. And we're here for just a few more moments in this shape. So when I teach this kind of a class, there's a lot of silences, and I tell everybody to kind of go inward on those silences. This is where we kind of really find our truths. So embrace the silence rather than run away from it and fear it. And let's just take a couple more breaths. I know, and you're going to say, I've said that a few times already. So we do hold this a little bit longer than perhaps you even want to. Next breath, I want you to tuck your toes underneath you and just lift your left knee up and step back, right leg in the air, right leg behind you, and walk it out. So we might go into a little bit more action in changing the poses or in our release. And if that doesn't feel good to you, then just release the leg behind you. Come back to your right knee and step your left foot forward. So we'll do the same thing. This is the correct leg, yes? Somebody give me a wave. Breathe in, breathe out. So we're gonna go back and do the same thing here. Hands are on the inside of the foot. You're leaning your hips forward. Excuse me for a second. Keep going where you are. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. We were about to hit the Backstreet Boys. All right, so relax your shoulders. Remember, these accessory muscles and parts of our body that are not really working, they need to be relaxed too. So breathe in and empty out. Remember, the two words you only have to remember today are inhale and exhale. So sometimes we start out in these poses and it's, oh, this is nice, it's easy, I can do this. And then holding it for a little while, it comes, I'm feeling this a little bit differently. On the other hand, sometimes it starts out really challenging, and then halfway into it, you're like, it's starting to release. So just embrace it. That's all it is. It's your body. It's learning how to understand your body, how to manipulate your body, and how to use it in a smart way. So close your eyes. If you need, you can put your arms on a block if you want to go a little deeper, but it's just not enough to get to the floor. So let your body just completely surrender. You're about halfway through on this side. So just hang in there, guys. Breathe. Sometimes our yoga practice is teaching us how to accept things that are not comfortable for us in our lives. So something like this hold, it may not be comfortable physically, and then emotionally we got to deal with it. So what we're going through right now is a really uncomfortable time for us. It's totally unprecedented for most of us. Excuse me. And so we have to learn how to handle those times. That's what we're all doing. That's why there's so much live information on our Facebook and our Instagrams. So thankful to all the people out there who are putting on live classes in any fashion and format to help us all deal with this huge bit of being uncomfortable. So slowly we're going to come back away from this leg, tuck the right toes underneath you, and take the left leg back into that downward dog. Maybe you need to lift it up and shake it out a little bit. So go for it. Walk yourself out from side to side. And I know that feels particularly good for me because I've been walking a lot and my hips are really feeling it. So come back to your knees. Sit back for child's pose. And now let's make our way down a little bit more to the floor as we come onto our belly. I like to have a block nearby, something that I can rest my head on so that I'm feeling comfortable and not creating tension in my neck. So the feet are going to go as wide as your mat, the short edge of your mat. Your arms are right underneath your shoulders, so your elbows underneath your shoulders. Your hands can be on the floor, palms down, and drawing your elbows closer to your chest and your chest closer to your elbows as we roll above the pubic bone and below the hip bones. So here, because we're going to be staying for a few minutes, I probably shouldn't tell you that, right? But we are. I mean, it's the facts. So you might want to put your head onto a block here. And if that doesn't help, you can stack your fists. Maybe you can go lower. So the block, if you have a block, it has 3 heights: flat, medium, and higher, right? So if you're feeling that you're just not that close to the floor, you go on the higher step. And just relax your shoulders away from your ears. Try not to create any tension anywhere else. So it's back extension. I talked about moving in different movements of our spine, and we did get all of them in, whether you know it or not. Not just forward and back flexion and extension. We had some lateral rotation and lateral movements. So good for you getting that in today. So in the silence, you'll find some truths. If you struggle with the silence, if you struggle with the hold, back out of it. Come back in when you can. There's no rhyme or reason. You've got to come out of it when you need to. Sometimes we hold poses even longer than the 2 to 3 minutes that we're doing today. So it's all in your head. It's in your mind. Again, how we accept these challenging positions for us, how we accept the challenges in our lives.
Sometimes it helps to count and say the word relax in between the counts. Inhale 1, exhale, relax. Inhale 2, exhale, relax. Let's take 3 more rounds of breath. A round is a full inhale and exhale. And when you've released the last breath, push your hips back to your heels. Let's keep the knees wide on this one and sit all the way back to your heels. So child's pose in a wide position. Here, I'm going to take it a little bit differently. I'm going to bring 2 blocks or something raised up off the floor, or if not, just keep your arms out. And I'm going to let my arms rest on it so I can allow my chest and shoulders to release while I'm lowering my back, or releasing my back, I should say. So bring your arms out, chest down, forehead on the floor, if that's comfortable for you. And then play with where you need the blocks to be for you, right? They may be under your palms, they may be more under your forearms, and your palms kind of hang off. So don't try to flex and point the wrists. Try to just let them relax and let your belly soften in between your thighs. So understand your body and listen to it. It's your most important factor in any practice. Not necessarily what I tell you to do, because it might not be right for you. But your body will tell you where to go. Listen to your body, not your ego. So if you can drop a little bit closer to the floor, great. If you need to back off, great. It's all good. It's all where you need to be. If at any point any of the holds become too much for you, get out of it, back out of it. Come back when you can. So I notice the breath as it moves from side to side, like we did earlier, from hip to hip, from rib to rib, right now from shoulder to shoulder, and even from the bottom of our fingertips to our underarms and back and forth, right? So just allow your body to surrender into these places. You're a little bit more than halfway. This becomes a practice of patience, right? Of commitment. I know so many people who are athletes who love this practice because it's exactly what they need. They need that release. They need the length, the peace. Listen to the sound and the quality of your breath and let it be your guide. When you empty out your next breath, bring your hands back, move the blocks or if you had anything in front of you, and lift yourself all the way back up. Good. Let's swing our legs around so we're facing the front of our mat and move a little bit forward. I'm going to do a little twist because I always find that it feels good after that back bend and forward bend. So I'm going to do it in a seated position today. So bring that right leg up towards your sitting bone. If you can't get that far, it's okay. And then hold on to it. Start with your hands on your shin. Excuse me, I'm playing with my timer for you guys. So you might start with your hands on your shin. Now your left leg is completely inactive. So let it just hang out there. And then we're going to start to move our body so that our left arm hugs the knee towards us, or for those of you who like to go on the outside of that right leg. And we just twist so that our eye gaze goes over our right shoulder. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, and remember that left leg is relaxed. There's nothing for it to do but be there, right?
So notice this might be one of those poses where you get into it nice and easy and you've got a little bit more space, and then you hold it, it's a little bit longer, or maybe you'll find more space as you hold. Close your eyes and just breathe. Visualize the breath moving through the spine, from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. Relax your shoulders down. If for any reason you need to come down a little bit further, that's okay. Feels good. Listen to your body. Couple of more breaths as we lengthen the inhale, spine gets long. Exhale, it gets a little bit deeper, and it's kind of automatic. It doesn't really, it's not a forced issue here. We're going to stay for 2 more breaths here. Full inhale, full exhale. And then as we empty it, we're going to come back to the center and just do a quick little counter pose just to move the spine in the opposite direction. And then I want you to take that right leg, the bent leg, and bend it again over your left knee. Here's a great place for blocks underneath the thighs or the forearms as we fold over. So the left leg still is completely relaxed. The other thing you can do is put a block under your head and just rest. Keep your palms facing up. Relax your shoulders down. Breathing in and emptying that breath and seeing where it takes you, right? Where is it taking you today? Where are you willing to go with it? How deep do you need to get? How shallow can you keep it and still find something there? Inhale and exhale. That's all there is to it here. Pay attention carefully to your shoulders and your neck. Make sure that you're not creating any additional tension there. Check out that your left foot is still inactive, nice and relaxed. Take those 3 breaths remaining. As you empty the last breath, lift your head up. Place anything off to the side. Release your leg. Stretch it out. Shake it out. Give it a little love. And let's go right on to the other side. So the left leg comes in, just lifting out of my right side. Relax my right foot. Hug my knee to my chest. Start by holding on with 2 arms. But maybe you quickly want to get out of that and just start to rotate to that left side. Or maybe you have a twist outside. Pay attention to that right leg, that it's just kind of relaxing there. And then turn your torso to the left side. And just relax. See if you can scan your body ever so often and just notice, are you still releasing tension or are you creating tension? Are you hugging your ears to your shoulders? Are you making it harder for yourself than it needs to be? You also might notice from side to side a difference. That's normal. breath guide you. Let it tell you when you're in too deep, or maybe you have a little bit more space. I have to remind myself, in fact, to relax my right leg, right? Because in my vinyasa practice and my fitness practice, I want it nice and strong. Here, I just need it to relax. And we're about 3 more breaths away from changing side or changing exercise, asana. And when you've emptied that 3rd breath, let's just do a quick little counter pose to the right side. Come back to center and bring your left knee over, little shoestring, over the right knee. Relax the foot and let your body surrender. So the spine can be rounded here. It could be long. It could be neutral. Your head can be supported by a block on your knee. Your arms or your knee can be supported. Right. So you choose. So finding a little peace in this pose, a little peace in the silence. Again, if the mind starts wandering, return to just following your breath, moving in and moving out, inhaling and exhaling. Or maybe you have that count of 1, relax. 2, sometimes we have to let ourselves know this is time to relax. It's okay to relax. Let go. We're about 3 breaths away. So take them slow, deep, and easy. And when you're done, come up to sitting. Relax your left leg, shake it out. Give a little bit of love to those knees. And one more while we're up in this position. I'm going to turn this way a little bit. This is a wide leg. So we're not trying to reach our heel to our groin here. We're not trying to get really close. So keep your leg in a wide leg diamond shape. You can put a block here for your head and take your arms underneath your legs. So come in the center and open out underneath and then fold. So you don't need a block if you don't need a block. If you want a block, it's nice to place your head on it so that you can just rest. So our tendency is to try to make this a little bit more challenging than it is. If you hold it long enough, it will be challenging, I promise. If you have tension in your knees, place the block underneath them. That will help. Right? So we just want to let our legs kind of really surrender here. And then we want to let our torso surrender and fold. So I know it's hard to not try to make this more challenging. It's hard to just let go. We're so conditioned to making things more challenging for ourselves that these, which are challenging in and of themselves, don't need to be any more challenging. So let go. If you're familiar with less is more, sometimes this is a less is more situation. Anytime you need to come out of it, come out of it. Make your way back into it when you can. See if you can empty out a little bit more. Take 3 more rounds of breath. Gently release your arms and roll yourself up. Take your legs and bring them in together, shake them out. And just come back and move side to side a little bit. We're going to get back down onto the ground now. I'm going to turn myself this way. Now you're going to take, if you have a block, a ball, a pillow, a blanket, lay down on your back. I'm not going to get you there fancy. Just go down to the floor. Lift your hips up on the flat side of your block. So place your sacrum on the block. We're going to start by bringing our legs in the air. You can do one leg at a time. Breathing in and emptying out. So here, let's open the legs a little bit, just kind of a natural hip width apart. Relax the feet and let your head rest. So if you need something behind your head, take your pillow, take another block if you have it. Feel free to put that there if there is any tension. Okay, but you don't want to have too much stress going on back there. So let your legs just, if the knees bend, great. If they start to shake a little bit, that's going to be natural. Let your body weight sink into the block or the mat, wherever you are with your legs. You can also do this legs up the wall. So if you're close to a wall, put your side, either side, right up against the baseboard. Keep it against the baseboard as you swing your legs up onto the wall. A great restorative pose, great for not sleeping, just to turn us upside down a little bit. And legs up the wall, Viparita Karani, and we're doing it with the supported block right now. So any of those work for you, go for it. So I'm trying to relax my glutes. I'm trying to let my shoulders release and just let all my body weight and gravity just assist me down into this block or the floor. My arms are relaxed by my side. You might feel tingling in your feet or your legs. Okay, that's natural too. Reversing the blood flow. Now before we close the practice in this pose, take your left leg down, bend the knee, and then slide it out on the floor. Now it doesn't have to go straight. The right leg in the air doesn't have to be straight. If you'd like to hold on to the right leg above the knee at the hamstrings, or if you have something and you want to place it under the foot. So we're going to just release that right hamstring a little bit and the left hip flexors. If being on something raised off the floor is too much for you, bend your knee, lift your hips up, and come back out of it. So we're going to hold this right leg up and left leg out for a few more breaths. If holding the strap is too much tension on your arm, see if you can lengthen it and just hold it down here. Maybe you have to shorten it and you can hold on to the strap so that your arm can be relaxed, or you could put something under your arm, right? So you're not creating tension. If you notice your legs shaking again, that's normal. Good, now bend the right knee. Release the strap if you have it. Stretch your left leg out and then bend your left knee and bring it back up. So if you need to keep the right knee bent, go ahead. Stretch it out when and if you can. So this is our almost the end of our holding stretches, restorative. I call it resto yin because we're supported with, we have some tools that we use. It's also stretch, so it doesn't have to be so fancy. That right leg should be as relaxed as you can get it, so that the foot's not flexed or pointed, you're not squeezing your glutes. The more you can release and let go of the tension in the hips here, the psoas, they wrap around our back. When they're tight or weak, they pull on our back and they create a lot of havoc. So left leg, I think I might have told you before, my left hamstring's got a little something going on in it. So my knee's a little bit more bent and not quite as straight as I am on the other leg. And I have to really relax it a little bit. And we're just a few breaths away from our final pose today. So as you bend the left knee, release the strap, and take your left leg out, and take your arms over your head. See if you can soften your glutes. And we're going to stay here just for a few moments. This may be excessive for some of you. So if it is, go ahead and take the block out from underneath your back. It's that simple, right? So see where you're at with that today. Otherwise, let it give you a little bit of a lift and allow your hips to soften. Arms over the head, or if that's too much, by your side. Preparing for your last pose in our practice today. If you want to stay as you are, I invite you to do that. If a block is too much but you have a pillow, slide it under your back or under your knees, that's fine too. And let's just stay here for a few more rounds of that breath. So remember that less is more in this non-active, active work. Take your final breath in this pose. And when you empty it out, bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, lift your hips up, articulate your spine down, and then bring your knees up to your chest and round your spine. Round and curl. Perhaps you take a little bit of a crunch here if it's feeling okay. and then come back and just do a short little spinal twist, once again, just to release that spine. And when you're ready, lay on your back for your final Shavasana, your final meditative pose. So let your arms rest by your side. Let your legs open out to the side. Let your fingers be relaxed. Let go of whatever breath you were using in your practice. So if you still held on to the Ujjayi breath, let go of it. If you were just doing a dedicated breathe in, breathe out force, just let your body kind of find its natural pattern of breath. It's yours. It's unique to you. So let that be your breath now. And let everything surrender. Take this opportunity to do nothing, but to absorb all the good that you've just done for your body. As you begin to deepen your breath, begin to make small little movements through your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles. Stretch your arms up over your head. Make your way onto your right side. Make a pillow for your head. And maybe roll up to seated or stay where you are as long as you need to. When you're ready to come to a seated position, bring your hands together in prayer and find a comfortable seat for yourself, just for a moment. While we reconnect to our space, this time, this place. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit of peace right now. And take that peace, carry it with you today, tomorrow, always. Perhaps share it with people who are socially distant from you. And we're all in this together. Please stay healthy, stay safe, stay home. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace to all. And now, just bowing down to each other, to the light, the peace, the goodness that we find within each one. Namaste. Satnam. Go in peace. Stay well, everybody. Tuesday morning at 9:30, I'll be on the Energy Exchange virtual online page. Please join us there. Tomorrow there'll be some fitness going on my Facebook page. Share this with anybody that you know or would like to share with. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, direct mail me, direct message me, email, text. Some of you have me out there. So thank you all so much for being here today. We'll see you soon.